Demonic Angel. Just a couple of quick announcements. I definitely do plan to start taking private tarot readings and consultations in the next few months. I'll let you guys know when I officially plan to set all that up. You know, I'm sure it will just probably be a few people at first, and that's totally fine. I'll let you guys know when there's more concrete plans. But right now, the best thing is to just go check out my Patreon page, and you could support me there. I'm going to put the September content up within the next few days, so go check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, tonight we are doing the 10 of Cups, one of my favorite cards, as I finish the RWS Deck here. And of course, what kind of comes to my mind is it does remind me of the 10 of Pentacles, which kind of has a similar scene, except there is a dog and an old man, so there's more of the connotations of the suit of Earth, and kind of that financial legacy, stability, you know, home ownership, those kinds of things. And, you know, that is similar to this. This is, of course, the suit of emotions, the emotional waters. So, you know, first, you know, right off the bat, we've got the rainbow in the sky and the blue sky. So usually, you know, that means that a storm has passed. So some hard times, you know, some bumps in the road in the individuation process, but now there's just really happiness. Just this, but it's also, to me, rainbows are very unique, so it's very uniquely you that is this happiness. And that comes from, you know, you passing through some of these hardships and challenges. So yeah, then we have, next part of notice is the little stream that kind of runs all the way along to, kind of looks like, you know, some kind of enchanted cabin or cottage. And everything's very green. Look at all the green trees. I mean, there's even a hill here, so it's like these, you know, the towering heights of nature, and it's just, again, kind of this lush scenery. This is the completion of the suit of emotions, so it has to kind of do with the peak and fertility. So these people are fertile, they have 2 kids, and that kind of, to sum it up, has to do with in an individual's life, whatever that ends up meaning to you, because obviously not everybody gets married and has children, but there's that, if that does apply to you, it's a happiness that's not like a fleeting moment or a good day. It's really a peak period of happiness in an individual's life, because it's based on stability and, you know, this emotional gratification, really. So yeah, it really is that peak. I mean, because when you think about people being older, this time has passed, and, you know, sometimes one of the spouses dies, and now you know, you're both on your own in that search again. But like when old people look back on their lives, most of the time this is like this happy, fulfilling period, the childbearing years. And it's a really good, wholesome, stable feeling that has to do with all these other things being, you know, aligned correctly, like finances. We know that because, you know, they own this little cottage in the background, so we can kind of surmise that they've worked, as a couple, they've worked very hard to ensure stability for their family. that they're celebrating. So, you know, the man and the woman, they have their arms. Sorry, it's just kind of like a weird angle. They have their arms wrapped around each other, like they're celebrating, you know, like a victory. So it does kind of remind me of like almost like a housewarming party. Like, you know, they both just got these jobs or whatever, or this hard work together, the couple has designated among themselves who does what, and together they've been able to achieve this, you know, this land. Hey, maybe they even built the house. And that says a lot, that it's, you know, they built this. So as opposed to like, you know, a young couple like struggling, which does indicate that I mean, this had, you know, previously been, because we have the rainbow at the end of hardships. So this took a lot of hard work, a lot of tears, setbacks to get to, and that's really exciting for them to finally be able to just, yeah, we're gonna go and do our house, you know, we did it together. And it's such a, I love the feeling that I get from this card. The woman's kind of got the, you know, like a dress, but it has that red, and the guy has red on his shoes, so we get the color of earthing, of grounding. So we know that this is not just emotional, it's stable and real, built on all these other things such as ideas and thinking and planning all coming together. So, and then they have the kids. We got, looks like a little boy and a little girl, and they're just playing Ring Around the Rosie. That song's a whole nother story, but they're just dancing. They're just so happy. They feed off of the energy of their parents. It's just this excitement is contagious. And look at these kids. They can kick balls around. They can run around. You know, they could go get muddy in the creek. And they're really excited about this. So maybe they've been cooped up in a smaller living situation, or, you know, a home that they didn't own. You know, any kind of situation that is probably pretty common. Going from that to this is very celebratory. And, you know, we also can kind of understand that this lasts a while. This is, now they're going to raise their children. So it's going to, you know, it's a step in the individuation that is going to last. And as they raise their children, they're going to be connected with nature out here. They're just going to be enjoying it. So, you know, this man and woman, they're on the same page, really. They're, but the big thing about this card is that they're on the same emotional page. You know, so after both of them searching emotionally through, you know, the teenage years of finding oneself, they have come together to search for this family. You know, that they both want it as much as the other. They're, you know, they're basically glued at the hip. And because they both had the same dreams and aspirations, which very much are feelings, they're able to manifest this as real. Not just a dream, not just an aspiration, but very real. And it's through the hard work together. You know, and so when people are on the same emotional page, it's the best thing, a couple. Whatever, finances can be in order, people can have kind of similar ways of thinking, but the most important thing is the same kinds of emotional needs. And at least be, you know, feeling like I can express who I really am to you, and, you know, also that, hey, I'm going to come to you and tell you what I need from you. This is what I want you know, I want our children to be out here in nature. Okay, so I'm going to do this, whatever. I'm going to work a really hard job, You're going to raise the kids while we eat some beans in the apartment. And we're going to get there, baby. But they both want that, and so that's that same. Now they're still on the same emotional page. This is a couple who will be together, you know, through old age, because of that I really do think is necessary. The longing, the wanting, the being in the same emotional boat, really. You know, so we'll talk kind of about the reverse, but you can see why I like this. So it, like I said, it's very lasting, stable moment in individuation that is emotional, and it's positive because it was based off of hardships. You know, each cup is one cup is like getting to know your own emotional needs as a teenager. The other one is like having your heart broken in college. You know, the other one is like not liking your job and having to find a different career. And although you know, those things all have to do in some ways with like the earth suit, they're all emotional. It's just, I mean, when you change, like for example, when you realize you don't like your job, or you get, you know, your first long-term relationship ends, it's just emotional, and it you know, it leads to that identity crisis. And some people's identity crisis looks other than others, of course, different than others. But still, it's that questioning of the self. But that is so necessary, though, and it really, you know, completes you. You know, if you're able to look inside, rise to the challenges, and see the deep, find the meaning in the suffering, just like Nietzsche says. Finding the meaning in the suffering to distinguish yourself from others, and that also, as far as a positive note, that these couples, they are each their own strong individual, so they know who they are, and that's why they're so good together. They each understand their own emotional needs, so they're not projecting that in some kind of unproductive way on the other. You know, so the reverse is, you know, a man and woman couple, and she's like, hey, let's settle down and have babies. And, you know, tells the guy that that's what they want. But he really doesn't care, doesn't really want it. I mean, he likes having this woman around, let's say, because, you know, it's better than being lonely as far as he's concerned. That's not an emotional harmony. So this is, you know, one person projecting their ambitions and needs, their, you know, their dreams onto the other, and assuming wrongly that is what the other person also wants. Usually there's some clues there that is not what the other person wants, and for whatever period of time people will just ignore that and continue, because when we really want something emotionally, you know, we tend to project it, and our emotions kind of blind us to what other people really, you know, what they want, because that's just kind of how emotions are. So it's, you know, as we master our emotions a little bit as we age, it's always like, I'm going to take a step back and see if I can figure out if that's what the other person wants. And there really isn't any of this. You know, this can have connotations of, you know, one spouse kind of dipping out on the other. You know, we see other cards with stronger associations with cheating, but this would be more like leaving the family. Leaving the family, because there's already children, leaving the family duties behind, not your priority. Your spouse is not your priority. Your children are not your priority. And for whatever reason, you are your priority. And you just, you know, that's not happening. And it can be because the other person doesn't want that, but ultimately we can't project what we want onto another person and just make that, wish for that to be what they want. It has to be that meeting of two souls with the same emotional desires, or that a person who is emotionally mature to understand the different needs of another's emotional path. So this can also kind of indicate things like people who really fight and get back together. They're like, yeah, super happy, yeah, everything's working out, everybody thinks we're normal, everybody thinks we're happy, but really, behind closed doors, the behavior of these people is not normal. Going beyond stress, going beyond fighting, something that is just constant and draining, and loud arguments, swearing in front of the children, things like that. So that is not a happy home, just because it looks like it is to to the outside world. It doesn't make it so. I mean, you know who you are with your partner behind closed doors, and I mean, it's either that the other person is just not emotionally interested in putting in the hard work that it takes to get here, and putting in the commitment and the splitting of responsibilities, and they're just not ready for that. They're not there, and you can't make them be there. Or there's something going on with you, like you need to go get some mental health taken care of, whatever that issue could be, because it's blocking you from enjoying all this. Let's say you have a loving spouse and children, but I mean, you can't enjoy it. You can't emotionally drink from this fulfilling cup of rainbows because you're not handling yourself at some basic level. And when our basic emotional needs are off, you really just can't enjoy it. You can't enjoy this beautiful stage of life. So that's okay. It's very important to recognize when it's not okay. Take a step back and figure out why not. Is it the other person? Is it you? And it's time to have a talk and say, I think I'm doing this wrong. I've projected this want onto you. Is this something you really want? It's time for a serious talk when this is reversed, so that issues can be brought to consciousness, to the table, and they can be examined and worked out, and everybody can figure out what they want. Be brave enough to be emotionally straightforward with your family, because you know what? Even if this isn't the right time for you to do this, it's going to make you such a better person to just get comfortable with your emotions and also recognize other people's, just to honestly recognize when people aren't ready. I mean, gosh, I would know, to just want something so bad. I want this. I want you to be like this for me, like this, that kind of thinking that's kind of like maybe teenage, also just blind in love kind of thinking. And it really doesn't do anything for you as the individual. It's best to recognize when maybe the other person, and it might be a situation where the other person is like, hey, I really do want this. My grandma just passed away, and I'm really having some depression issues. And then you start talking, okay, let's go start doing walks as a family. Let's get you into counseling. Is that something, whatever unique way you want to shape this, I'm here. Thank you for talking to me. you know, because it can be something very simple like that that sets people apart. And if you can recognize the distress in the other person and have that approach them, have that frank talk, maybe they just need some time alone, whatever, then you can get that conversation going, and you know, you'll be way stronger. Investigating our own emotions is actually very hard, even for people willing to do it, even for more feminine people. Emotions are not easy to understand. I mean, articulate. It is a roller coaster, and you know, that's kind of the good news as we get a little bit older, when we really are able to understand ourselves. Rise to the challenges. Be honest when you need help. Openly communicate. Be honest about your desires, because this is an emotional trip that got these people here. And don't be afraid to examine your emotions. Most importantly, together, realize how much your emotions affect your children. And be highly aware of that. If these people started punching each other, these kids wouldn't be dancing. They would be cowering behind the trees back here. So it's just so, this is just a very amazing illustration of how much the behavior and, well, the emotional expression through behaviors really does affect children. And that can go an amazing way. You know, it can really, you can use this to nurture children as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. I'll talk to y'all later.